How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we're continuing on the Let's Talk About discussion videos, going over each colour for the decks in set 17. And we've done red, we've done blue, we've done green, so now we've got yellow. And before we get into the video, I do want to say, feel free to like the video if you enjoy it. It helps let me know that people are enjoying this kind of thing. Comment down below anything you want to comment, and also subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because it keeps you updated with my videos as when they drop, especially if you click the notification bell. That gives you alerts to when my videos do drop, and also helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs. I'm currently on the about a third of the way there, and it's my goal, and every little subscription helps as well. And also, as well with subscribing, every time I get to 100 subs, so on the next one is up to 400, that's when I do giveaways, and when I get to 1,000 I'll be doing a special thing which I'll detail as we get closer to it. So, yellow is an interesting one because, as I've said in, I think, all the other videos, is that there's each of the colours have a certain kind of thing. Like with red and green, they're mainly archetype heavy decks with some space to so like mainly like their archetype is what takes up most of the space in the deck, and then you've got a little bit extra in the deck to be able to put in staples and generic stuff for their color. But with yellow and blue, it's more there's a good generic leader and all the good cards of that color is thrown in, so it's mainly like a good yellow deck, a good yellow leader. We get the good stuff, say with blue, but there are some exceptions. Like in yellow, we'll see some as we go, and like say with blue, we do have things like Bojack 116, which are like more on like a certain focus, more archetypical, and with just some good cards in it. So as we get into it, let's have a look at the two decks coming from yellow for the set. So similar to how we had Cooler the other day, or yesterday, for green, most of the time you'll have one side that is the heroic leader, and the other side that is the villainous leader. And as we saw with green, that had two villains, basically just both Cooler and Meta Cooler. And yellow takes on the opposite side, being two heroes, being Piccolo and Goku. And they're both from the Cell Saga, so it's the theme for this yellow stuff is going on the Cell Saga, but going for the Z Fighters and the Namekians, which is quite, so it's like the true set. This is the true look of Saiyans and Namekians, unlike when we got that Saiyans and Namekians expansions. Barely did anything for Namekians, but these two look really nice as well. Like the Piccolo looks really strong, looks like he control quite a lot, and the Goku is quite interesting, being similar to Cooler, having a unison focus, which is quite cool. So, as per usual, we'll get into have a look at one, and have a look at the other, and have a look at see how it is for the upcoming meta. So starting off, we'll go with Piccolo first, because it seems like the less hyped one out of the two, from what I've seen online from the supporters and stuff, reading comments, and it's all revolving around Namekians, which is quite nice. So the game plan with Piccolo is you do need to have quite a few Namekians in there, because Namekians are what fuel the lead. Like on the front side, like on both sides for the auto, you need to place a Namekian from your hand under the card, and on the front side you draw a card and look at top 5, and then add a Namekian among them to your hand. And then on the awakened side, you draw 2 cards on its attack when you do that. And it's quite interesting, especially with the awakened. It's got a nice. This leader is just nice, and overall, it all comes down to what Namekian support it's got. But on the unawakened side, it does have a alternative awakening condition where you're either at 4 life or less to awaken, or if you have 2 or more cards like Namekians underneath the leader, you can draw 1 and tap 1, flip over, also will by taking your life down to 5 if you're higher than 5. So you can go down to and 5 is a good spot because it opens up to you being able to straight away use the token negates, because they're live to take life to play for free if you're at 5 or less. And also you also have the Guru Super Combo that came out in Theme Booster 3, that can be used for it, which can be at 5 or less life and be a yellow Namekian Super Combo as well. And then when you're on the awakened side, you can now use all your Union Absorb abilities for Namekians, but instead of taking a card from hand or field to Union Absorb, you can take it from the leader, so making use of the card you put under it for certain skills. And also, if you don't want to use it for that, It does have an activate battle, which is similar to the Rildo, where you discard a card from underneath it to gain 5k for a battle, and that's once per turn. So you're either using them as defensive extra 5ks every turn, between defensively or offensively, or you're using them to help advance your unions or skill on when you're on these 1-drops and stuff that you start off with. Speaking of 1-drops, it does go into yellow and green as well. Like they did have a bit for green because there's quite a lot of the Namekian stuff in green from the beginning of the game, like when they start against sport. And like normal, you've got 2 of them that then go further, and 1 is always a cantrip, meaning when you play it you draw a card, and the other one is a searcher, meaning when you play it you search top 5 for a certain kind of card. And you do have some good ones, like the weird thing is that one of them, the searcher one, needs 1 energy to be able to go into a free cost yellow Piccolo, not yellow or green, which I don't know why it's not yellow or green for either of these 1-drops. It's just one color or the other color, and the one that draws the cantrip needs 2 energy and got 3 energy or less, 3 energy or more to go into a green 4-cost Piccolo. They're not entirely bad, but there's not many good targets for the yellow 3-drop one. Like, there was a decent target in the set, or there's even the skillless one from Draft Box 6. But when you get to the other one, the one that plays out a 4-drop green one, you've got some good targets. So you've got the one on the board, on the that you can see on the screen now, which gives you barrier removal, which is nice. You need barrier removal in every deck. And the other one gives you a simulated Piccolo, which is like such a strong one. It was costly on, well, not on the release because it was cheap on release, and then once people realised how good it was, it's like inexpensive and just helpful, like popping every turn. And seems a nice game plan. From what I see with this is by turn 3 at least, you want to try and get out this Lord Slug, Super Namekian out, and Piccolo assimilated, so you can have Lord Slug to swing first. Both have barriers as well, so they're hard to interact with, and then Lord Slug to swing first to be able to knock your opponent out of drawing outside the leader, and then assimilate like a free turn every turn in your turn or your opponent's turn, pop something 5 or less to draw, and just do not worry about a battle card. And then your leader just constantly drawing and protecting things, which is quite cool. And as well, it gets access to some good cards because it's in yellow, so it gets access to Mecha, Frieza, Robotic Riposte, and even the Goku as well that we've got the Steadfast. So it gets some access to some good cards like that. And also, it's very easy to get this just in like other yellow decks, because you've got some free cards. Like you've got the Token Negate that can be used for free. You've got Assimilate, which allows you to search little 1-drops as well, which is a yellow 0-cost extra card to help fuel it. You've even got Power to Super Saiyan, and you've also got in Archetype in the same set the kind of Champa for it. Like some decks do get kind of a Champa-esque effect, and Piccolo gets it in the form of an extra card 0-cost, but then you still need to pay 1 if you want to get the Champa effect. But then it can be used defensively to protect your Namekians in your battle area. And yeah, it does seem quite interesting. It seems quite strong. I love Piccolo. He's one of my favourite characters from Z. He's just so cool. And I'll be picking up this to try it out, to try it with the Namekians, because I do like the Namekian stuff as well. And Piccolo is such a great leader. This is just a really good generic leader. It all comes down to what Namekians we get to support it. And then for the other one, we've got Goku, and Goku in his Yadrat outfit, which is something that is really cool. It's like a pretty cool outfit, and we don't really see that often. So Bandai gave us that little bit of flavour there. And just like Cooler, it's got a focus on unisons, but it's a little bit different to Cooler in the way like how it reacts. So with Goku, it's different to Cooler in the fact that Cooler has a choice of when it attacks, you either draw 1 or play a unison, and on the front side it does. They do have the same thing, where on the front side it can self-awaken, and then when it flips over, 4 less life, because neither of them have the alternative awakening condition. But unlike the Cooler, which is you either draw or you play a unison, on the Goku, on the front side you look at the top 5 to find a unison and play it, and when it awakens it's draw, then play a unison if you want to. But you play the unison from your hand in rest mode. So one of them, like Cooler, allows you to well, gives you a choice between if you want to draw or play a unison, but the unison can be, if you don't draw, the unison can be used to actually progress. Whereas with Goku, you get the draw and the unison, but the unison becomes in rest mode, so you can't really attack with it or like a pressure with it. And it does have some other skills, but it does not. It's not like Caller. The good thing about Caller is that it has an effect when it's awakened to make use of these unisons that you could clock your hand up by using them to power for your lead, either defensively or offensively. But with Goku, it doesn't have that. It does have a skill to remove markers from your unison to like help out combo an attack or add to your just an out combo attack because it's only during your opponent's turn. But it also does have a interesting skill to recycle the unisons that you do lose because you'll be replacing them constantly. It does have a skill to put them back in your deck from your drop area so you can have them back, while also inherently giving it a never attack because you switch it to active mode and you gain an extra power boost while on 10k and double strike for the turn. So that's a great thing with this lead, having an extra, you can attack once, play a unison, and then be able to restand them and go for it again. And since you'll be recycling a lot of unisons, then you basically will be easily able to get cost for that, because you get 8, and there are some. You even get promos as well for the start, not the start, the pre-release to help support that. And as you can see with these unisons on the sides, you've got some unisons that also get you draws, like Yamcha's got a +0 here that draws you 1. There is also the Piccolo, which plussing the +1 is draw a card. Or no, I think when it's played, if it's got a certain amount of markers, it's draw 1 card. And you got Vegeta here with if it's put in your drop area. Yeah, if it's put in your drop area from your unison area, you draw a card, and it also got effect to help kill something as well. And then you got the finisher being Gohan, which is a great one, be able to have him power as well to keep markers on, and also when played, it's got a certain amount of markers, be able to pops in your opponent's battle cards, in barrier, which is pretty nice, and has a nice +1 to draw. But the main thing for the Gohan is the fact that it's got that -3, being able to give you itself and your leader card a 5k boost until the end of your opponent's next turn, while also giving itself triple attack to attack of quite a few times. Because then, so you can buy a lot of pressure being a 25k unit, so you can attack 3 times and still have markers to survive as well, because you power 3 and you have to pay 3 for it. But not only that, as I said, you do have, like in the pre-release, it does have support for it in the form of Son Gohan the Empowered and Trunks the Empowered. These are quite interesting ones because they've got autos where if they're replaced by thing is if you're replacing it by playing a unison, so if you play a unison and this card goes to drop and you've got unison in play, you can search the other copy. So if you have Gohan on board and then you play like sack off Gohan, the player never unison on board, it search for the Trunks, and Trunks search for the Gohan, so you can keep cycling through, building up the 8 whilst deck finning, and then be able to put them back to keep the searching going. So that's quite interesting. And one can help being a nice blocker, and one can help be a like filtering through with the by drawing 1, discarding 1, or discard 1 and draw 1. And you got the SS Goku here as a quite nice negate, so like a never negate, like with Mecha Frieza, to help just prevent many attacks and get rid of things as well. It's quite cool. And it just got like just like with Piccolo, it's got a lot of good yellow support going for it, and it seems quite interesting. It's like in unisons, but then the thing is, I think yellow has the least amount of options for like very strong, powerful, great unisons. Like it does have some really good ones, really good ones, but it has the smaller pool of good unisons. But yes, out of those two, I feel like they could both be competitive. I feel they're both quite competitive out of the box. I just think that the Goku might be a bit more competitive than Piccolo, but I will be trying the Piccolo out and trying to make it a bit more competitive because I do enjoy it. But there are other like yellow leaders that because yellow was barely touched by the ban list at all. Well, it wasn't touched at all actually. Most people probably thought that Poutine was going to be banned because of how like they were trying to hit down on free play, and the yellow version and red version of what Poutine is are banned because of how good they were. So we thought Poutine was going to hit, but they didn't. And so it's still going around strong, and yellow has also been the strongest color in the game for most of the time the game's been alive, and it continues to be a very strong one as well. So looking at some of the yellow leaders, first one we have is one that's been out for the last 7 sets, including this one, and also is very archetype focused. Like, as I said, yellow is more about a certain leader and then all good stuff, but there's a few exceptions, and Shenron is an exception where it does have some good yellow cards in it, but it's quite a very heavy archetype because it revolves around using all the shadow dragons. But it does add that added consistency, because on the front side, when it attacks, you get to look at top 5 cards for a shadow dragon, which you're never really going to miss from that. Like, it's very, very, very rare you miss from that effect. And at the end of the turn, you get to restand one of your shadow dragons. But when you awaken, you then just draw one when you attack, and then instead of just restanding one, you're restanding all, and you've got this big leader built in turn winning effect, being tap 6 to play 7 shadow dragons with different card names from your drop area. But not only that, you also have extra consistency with, like, you got Ice Shenron that will play the one drop shadow balls from your decks and your boards, so you can have that utility like tutoring, whichever one you want. And you even have Oceanus as a searcher by milling one and discarding this card to add to your drop area with the shadow dragons to search for search top 5 to help you find the shadow dragon you're after, so you're looking for certain things. So with Oceanus, Shenron, and the leader combined searching for certain shadow dragons, you're able to have that massive consistency. And the deck's got something unique in Haze Shenron, being a way to combat any really deck that plays things that are modern energy for cheap by just being able to combo this and discard another shadow dragon to pop something in rest mode on your opponent's board with energy costs higher than their current energy. So if your opponent's going in for something big, like a really big battle card quite early, they have to watch out for Sin, because it can easily get popped by just one combo. But it also does have some different versions as well. Like, there's an aggro version of Sin and there's a control version of Sin. And with the aggro version that came out after a few sets, since we got Rage Shenron and an Ender in Omega Shenron, the Ultimate Shadow Dragon, Rage Shenron is just a 2-drop that allows you to, when you swing, take a card from your life and gain 5k, and it's got critical, so you actually get that critical pressure. And normally you're playing this as early as you can, maybe turn 1 if you find the ball, because the ball for 1 and this for free into the 2-drop for crit, and allows you to get down to not worry about trying to get a unison down to use the leader's alternative awakening position, but get your life down to 3 so you can awaken by normal means. And you can use of Omega Shenron to sack it off to copy skills of shadow dragons in your drop to be at utility, either getting more crit to help awaken quicker, but also allowing you to take your life as well. So you got Rage and Omega allies absorb to take your life to help you advance to your awaken slide by turn 3, and copy effects to get that utility. And you got Omega Shenron, the Ultimate Shadow Dragon, which can come down as a 30k triple striker for 1 energy once you hit turn 3. And both these Omegas also draw your card when played as well, so you're not losing anything from hand, you're getting basically playing it for free and not losing any hand advantage from it. It's very powerful. It did get hit by losing Pan that allowed you to restand one of these Omegas, because you would go down to 2 life to awaken, which would then free play Pan, and then Pan would be able to restand one of these after attack to get that extra pressure, and even have the turn 2 Cell Zeno as well, before Cell Zeno got errata to put quadruple strike into its auto instead of its skills it always has, because there were times when people would die turn 2 to a aggro Sin because of Cell Zeno, which was very easy to pull off, and still is. And then we also have the control version, and that's where you go for the long game, trying to focus on getting advantage and out advantaging your opponent by using the activate main on the lead. And to do that, you basically just hold off by dropping this 9-drops in as early as possible, which then every time your opponent plays a card while it's on board, you negate their skills for the turn. And it's a 30k revenge blocker, so your opponent's going to not really be able to connect anything with battle cards, otherwise they're just going to die. And if they do try to remove it, it then gives you more advantage by allowing you to draw 2 and get the little Dragon Ball force in to then redo it again next turn and bring it back. So you don't remove it. If you remove it, it basically comes back, and you're just giving your opponent some more cards. So it's very hard. There's only a few cards that allow you to remove it without triggering that. And you even have Mecha Kibura. Plotting Revival is the Unison. Well, I think it's the only 4 specific yellow Unison for I think it might be. No, I think there's another one. I think it's the Goku Black. But this is one of the best ones. So one of the best Unisons in yellow. You're going to come down turn 4, give your leader the chance to use the alternative waking condition to flip over, and also be able to hold off, because when it takes damage from when it loses the marker from being attacked, it then can choose one of your opponent's cards and rest it. So mainly you can stave off aggression by blocking with the Mecha Kibura because it's got blocker, lose a marker, and then tap down one of their other cards to make it so they can have less attacks. And it's even got a nice way to get around things like Tragic Overground, because Tragic Overground is something you don't see much, but you will see it. You will see it played in most SS4 Vegetas, and it's a nice way to have a kind of like a 5k boost for free defensively to help defend, will also be able to have the effect to negate the skills on a card in the battle area. And since it's just a card in the battle area, not a battle card in the battle area, it allows you to neg skills of filled cards as well, which is quite cool. So you'll be able to hit Tragic Overground to take off stop its skills from and then be able to pay 6 to bring out your board, like a whole board from your drop area, is pretty nice, because there's not many things out there. And then we have the Yellow Trunks, one of the newest yellow decks that has been going strong because of how good, and like it's got a nice small package that actually is beneficial, and then after that it's just all good generic good yellow cards. But with his archetype, it's got a nice thing in SS2 Trunks feature on the line, which is acts as a never Poutine, so they can get this out and Poutine and be able to make it so if your opponent wants to play something, hard cast something, or play something by skill, something is going to be rested. Like you got to really sequence properly to try and bait them out to be able to play properly. Because Trunks just triggers, because Poutine triggers on the first card that you play by skill, and Trunks triggers on the first Unison or battle card you play that turn. So if you want to try and play a Unison and you didn't play something first, it gets rested. If you want to play a battle card, the first thing you play gets rested, and it's really annoying. And it does have a big boss in the 8 drop as well. Be able to do a 35k triple strike crit while popping 2 of your opponent's rest of my battle cards and drawing your card. Is very strong, nice little finisher there. And it has, as I said, being a good yellow card, having access to a lot of good yellow extra cards like Black Kamehameha, Circle Negate, Power Super Saiyan, things like that. It's very strong, good yellow extra cards. And then we got Garlic Jr. Now people might be looking at this thinking, how is Garlic Jr. a good yellow deck? Well, it's not the best yellow. It is a good yellow deck. It's not the best though. That's the thing, because it is quite interesting because it's got a nice little archetype. It's never one of those archetype focused decks. You have to have a lot of the Demon Clan stuff to make use of the archetype and actually get the benefit of the lead. But it does gain a nice little boost from the next set because it gets the Gohan, because Garlic Jr. has a alternative waking condition where if you have a yellow Unison with specific cost of 3 on board, you can untap 1, draw 1, take your life down I think 6, and then flip over. And this Gohan is a really nice one in that because it gives the leader a Unison that +1 to draw. Like having a +1 that just draws is fantastic, and also has a helpful kind of auto to try and help board clear, which you're not going to use as much in this deck, but also a nice -3 as well to help put pressure on to try and finish off as well. It's just a really good Unison for it that keeps adding to the advantage because Garlic can actually draw quite a bit. Not only that, but it also does have some like quite nice tech cards as well. Like you've got Chi-Chi Demonic Transformation, because the leader has the effect of when one of your opponent cards attacks, so any card, be it Unison, battle card leader, when one of your opponent's cards attacks, you could choose a Yellow Demon Clan card with entry cost of 2 or less in your hand, play it in rest mode, just have it on board. And so you've got Chi-Chi, which they all have, like most of them have Servant as well, so it means they're 20Ks, not 10Ks like printed, but then they can't switch the rest, but that's not an issue because your leader and some of your other cards have Overlord, so I have to put them back in the deck. They draw a card and then basically just keep drawing through your deck, like filtering through. And you got nice ones like Roshi, which when played it draws, but it can't use auto any more times that turn if you do it. And you got Chi-Chi that allows you to rest when your opponent's battle cards are unisons, which is so it's nice. So your opponent attacks with, like, it depends on sometimes what your opponent attacks with. Because if they attack with the leader first, you just Chi-Chi, the rest are unison on that attack, and then have Chi-Chi in your next turn to attack to the bottom of the draw. Or you have Roshi to get you an extra draw and put it on the board so you can draw with Overlord next turn. You can get a lot of drawing and a lot of control of it, which is quite nice. And then we have Goku Black, so one of the newest wish leaders we've got, and the kind of wish leader which they should go with going forward, because it's just giving a wish leader a alternate awakening condition that isn't just 7 balls and drop, and having like an ultimate skill that doesn't require you to flip back over is how it should be. Because when you make a wish, you don't just then take back the wish, so I never understood why it flipped back over. But Goku Black is how they're going in the right direction, and hopefully they do more wish leaders like this for different colours. Hopefully red, because red only has one and it's not the best. But it is, being a wish deck, it does have an access to a ton of draw, like with Dragon Balls, and he's even got his own one coercion, which allows you to warp a god from your hand to draw 2, so you can draw quite far in. And since you put the balls back to awaken, to flip over and wish, you can then switch them back out with the leader's front side to keep drawing more and more. And being a yellow extra card as well, coercion allows you to have easier access to making Mecha and Steadfast 1 costs. And to be a yellow deck, you can hold off with some good yellow generic cards, plus with these little archetype cards, especially having a Jackland in Zamasu as well. It also has access to some really good cards like Frieza Divine Transformation to have that nice control as well. And I think this is even done quite well in some events as well since release. And that's the only ones I can remember that I feel were really strong, that I could tell that haven't got hit. Like, we've had some every yellow decks that have been good, but they've got hit quite hard in previous lists. And yellow does have a lot of good tech cards as well, like a good lot of generic cards. And it's also interesting ones, like there's the Sun Gohan Return of the Fist, where if you use unisons, you can use this like a finisher, because it can come down for free energy once you hit turn 4. And by just taking 2 marks off unison, you could basically turn off your opponent's battle card swing effects when it swings, which is quite nice. But also popping battle cards when it comes down, and having deflect means it can't be stopped from coming down. And being 8 cost means it's out of the range for things like charismatic. And then, as shown, like Power Super Saiyan's not really a tech card; it's just a generic good card, but it is like one of the best cards in yellow. Like, it's just such a good card. And that's the reason why it's limited to 1. And then, as usual, all colours have a token negate, like Frieza's Army Reinforcements. But you do have other cards like you've got in the from set I think it's set 11. I think it was. I think set 11 when we had the garlic stuff. There's a Piccolo that's a good counterplay card to help stop to put things in rest. I think it put things in rest mode to stop it from coming down. I think it's negated with the skills, which also interacts with unison cards. It's just as card played, so you've got a counterplay which allows you to negate skills in unison, which is something that we don't have much of, or even just on anything. The Piccolo, and you got everything's like strong, like some nice tech unisons in the Vegeta Unison Fury to help deal with cards like decks that play big things for cheap early. And it's got some just nice cards in yellow. Not as many as some of the previous colours, but still quite a few good ones. But that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're looking forward to some of these yellow decks. Like I personally am looking forward to both the Goku and Piccolo. More Piccolo, because Piccolo's great. But once again, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one covering Black.